Hey guys, it's Mark with Hallmark Pool Supplies, and in this video I thought we'd do something a little bit different. I'd like to answer some of the questions that you guys have been sending in, and if you guys have any questions during this video, definitely leave them down below and I'll try my best to answer them. Okay, so the first question is from Ricardo, and he asks, do you have to prime your pump every time you clean your pump basket? And the answer is, for the most part, no. But there is several things we have to take into consideration. If you have a system that is sitting level or lower than the pool, we're fine. But if your system sits higher than the pool, then we may have to prime, and the best way to do this is when we go to clean the pump basket, what we can do is we can shut off our skimmer and drain valve, and what this is doing is it's holding the water, kind of like putting our finger over a straw, so this way we can open up the pump basket, we're not losing that water. This way when we clean the pump basket out, put the lid back on and shut the lid down, then we're able to open those valves and turn the pump on and she'll prime right up. And so the next question is from Leonard, and he asks, can you leave sand in the filter over the winter? And the answer is yes. If you are planning on winterizing your system, definitely make sure this tank is drained, but as far as the sand goes, yes, you can definitely leave it in the tank over the winter. Nuff Dog asks, how can I determine if my wiring on my pool pump is 110 or 220? Pretty simple. If we look at the pump, most pumps can be wired 110 or 220, and if we check the schematic, we can see if it is wired 110 or 220 from the previous hookup. And if you can't locate or determine what it is from the pump or the schematic on the pump, you can definitely get a voltmeter, and that will tell you if you're wired 110 or 220. I did make a video on this titled How to Wire a Motor on Your Swimming Pool Pump, and I will post a link down below for any of you guys that want to check that out. So the next question comes from a user that is asking, when vacuuming a pool, do we vacuum in the filter setting or do we vacuum in the waste setting? Well, to answer that question, most of the time for vacuuming and normal cleaning of a pool, you will vacuum in the filter position. Now, if you guys have a pool that is extremely dirty, algae infested, the black lagoon, then we want to vacuum to waste. And if we're vacuuming in the waste position, we are actually bypassing the filter, but when we vacuum in waste, we are lowering the water, so we will have to add water to the pool when we vacuum in waste. So Paul asks, hey Mark, I love your channel. I was changing out my sand yesterday, and when I loosened the multiport, the pipe on the lateral assembly did not disengage. I sprayed some lubricant on it, but it's not budging. I have a Pentair SD40. I was still able to vacuum most of the sand out at the bottom. However, the assembly is not sitting in place because of the sand. Do you have any recommendations for this? Well, basically, sometimes when you take a tank apart, the lateral assembly can stick inside the multiport, and if this happens, you did lube it, but you can actually get a pair of channel locks and kind of wiggle and twist it. You got to be careful, but it will come off. And once you get that off, then the best thing to do is do a light sand, and then you can lubricate the end of the standpipe, and you can also lubricate the underside of the multiport where the standpipe slides in. And by doing this, it makes it go together much easier. And in the future, if you have to change sand again, it will be less apt to stick. And so that's basically the trick on that, and I do appreciate the comment. This next question pertains to how to vacuum an in-ground pool, and Mark asks, what do you do in a situation where you have both skimmer and drain lines that are not only not labeled, but they do not have valves attached to them to turn them on and off? Well, if you don't have a valve on your skimmer or your drain line, when you vacuum, you're only going to get about 50% suction. And so what I recommend is to put valves on both lines. This way you can regulate. It will make it easier to prime, and especially make it much easier and give you better suction when you vacuum the pool. I did make a video pertaining to how to vacuum an in-ground pool, and I will post a link down below for that video for anybody that needs to check that out as well. The next question, Manny says, love your video. Why do I get air in my pump when I use the vacuum plate every time, but not when I plug the hose in directly to the skimmer? Well, Manny, I appreciate the comment. To answer that question, the first thing I would check is making sure that you hook up the vacuum hose correctly. There are two ends to a vacuum hose. One end is stationary and the other end is swivel. We want to make sure that the swivel end is hooked to the vacuum head, which is down below in the bottom of the pool, and the stationary end that does not rotate is connected to the vacuum plate. By doing it this way, it's airtight and you will not suck air. If you do hook it up backwards, you will suck air, and this is the end result of what happens when you hook it up improperly. By the way, I did make a video pertaining to some of these type questions, and it's called the top 5 mistakes you make when vacuuming a pool, and I will post a link down below on that video as well for anybody that needs to check that out. So that wraps it up, and if you guys have any questions that you would like me to answer, definitely put them down in the comments below and I'll try my best to answer them. But if you guys need to get in contact with me and it's very important and you have some issues that you need help on, the best way to get in contact with me is through my Patreon page, where I can actually work with you one-on-one. I do virtual service calls, phone sessions, and I will be glad to help. At this time, I want to thank all my subscribers as well as my patrons for your support of this channel. Definitely remember us at Hallmark Pool Supplies for all your pool needs. I definitely appreciate everybody watching. My name is Mark, and I'll see you guys on the next video.